3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Good evening. It's Monday again already. Where has that week gone? Welcome along to Reading the Signs with me, Comedy John Ryan, and my pals from the world of comedy, showbiz, entertainment, and anywhere else I can find them, really. Every week we talk about mental health, mental wellness, what we do, why we do it, how we deal with the good times, the bad times. We want you to help as well. Let us have your top tips for wellbeing. Let us know you're there by putting comments in the box. Do give us a like on YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook. Just tell your friends, really. And subscribe, of course. Very important that you subscribe at this day and age. Quick mention to Lost Boys UK for this fantastic theme tune. Have a look at my website, happytohealthyou.com. We've got great guests. We've got a great show. We've got a great audience. Let's get to it. Hello. That was a bit odd, wasn't it? I don't know what happened there. It's a story of my life, really. Welcome along to Reading the Signs with me, John Ryan. It's another day. It's another hot day, so I'm not overly happy with it. I'm not going to lie. How's your day been? What have you been up to today? I've been spending a day, I think, walking around, just sightseeing, really. I am currently in La Rochelle in France, although for the purposes of this recording, I'm at home in the Chinese laundry, where you normally find me when I do these shows. It's been another hot day today, hasn't it? How's everyone's day been? Anyone had a good day, bad day? Anything exciting happened that you want to tell us about? Anyone out there got any questions? Anything you want to know about before we bring our guest in and on this evening? It'll be good fun to kind of do it like old school, like we used to during the day. Who remembers the days of lockdown? Do you remember those days when I used to just sit here and take questions and we'd have a little bit of fun? That was a long time ago now, wasn't it? So, yeah, good evening to you too, Steve Troop. How's your day been, mate? Steve, for our regular listeners, is one of my heroes. So, someone who I greatly admire, who has proved time and again that you don't have to be defined by what you are and what people think you are. So that's always good to hear from you, mate. It's been a tough day today because it's been very, very hot. I just can't take the heat. Anyone else not really like the sunshine, or am I just miserable? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if you think it's just because I'm miserable. Because that may be what it is. It may just be that this whole happy, cheeky, chappy disposition and demeanour is all just nonsense. It's not real. And actually, I'm just a bit of a grim, kind of glum person. Yeah, bah, humbug. So, yeah, what have you been up to? Just let me know. Just put your comments in the box if you're there. Let me know that you're there. Let me know that you're listening. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you want to talk about. Hello, Nick Jones. Welcome along. How's things at home with you, mate? How's the family? I know that Nick is a classic example of someone, again, who perseveres, prevails, endures, and just you always seem to be moving forward, mate. I'm sure you won't mind me saying that Nick's had some health problems himself, and when you have your little health problems, it's important that we talk about them, I think, especially as men, because we don't always open up and we're not always honest. Got to say hello to my favourite horologist, Robert Van Buren. I don't know why I got it into my head, Robert, that you are, in some way, a psychologist who lives in Spain. It might probably be that the first time we spoke, you were in Spain. You could well have been on a holiday. I ain't got a clue, mate. I don't know. I get an idea and I run with it. When I was doing my degree, I remember one aspect of it was sociology, which I really struggled for, mate. Sociology just killed me. I couldn't understand why 1 + 1 wasn't 2. 1 + 1 was one object plus another object. But I spent the whole of my 3 years with that part of my degree struggling, thinking that Emile Durkheim was actually called Emily Durkheim, which explained why my essays about Durkheim's work only ever got like 40 and 41, whereas everything else I did would get like 50s and 60s. Made no sense whatsoever. That was, of course, the days before you could define gender, so I couldn't even pass it off as, well, I'm just respecting the diversity of it all. Interesting point being made straight away. But Robert, you must have been to Spain. Have you not been to Mallorca, or you've not been to, I don't know, Ibiza, anywhere near Spain, Robert? In my head, you've causing me problems, mate, because I like to have definite places for people, and in my head, Robert Van Buren was a psychologist who was based in Spain. Don't know where I got this from, unless it was a night that I watched a Spanish football match. Anyway, Robert, thank you as always for coming along. Tell us about Portugal. It might have been Portugal. No, I wasn't even doing this a few years back. But anyway, Robert, tell us about horology and how horology is good for well-being, why you do it, and how you got into it, mate. We've got some proper drama tonight, guys. We have forget well-being, forget sorting out any crises of confidence that you may have or that you may ever experience. We've got a real, what I call in the old days, we call it a real man problem. Nick Jones had a burst pipe in the kitchen last night. The first time he had to pull out of a gig. Gig cancelled by flooding. That's got to be a first one, isn't it? Dog ate homework, pipe burst in kitchen. Tough times, mate. Tomorrow I will be plumbing in a sink, a washing machine, and a dishwasher. But first, yeah, I'm not stupid. We're watching YouTube, Nick. I'll do it properly, mate. I guess I could hire, if Pete Murray's out there, he should be around here doing this. But no, where is he? Swanning about somewhere on the French Riviera, no doubt. So, guys, I really appreciate you lot coming along. Well, we're not sure what's happening with my guests tonight. I'm still waiting. But in the meantime, I'm guessing that Steve Troop has got something very exciting that he could talk about. Steve, for some reason, is describing me as an inspiration. Mate, I'm hoping to start a cult. So maybe I'll get you in there as my kind of, my security, my, what do I call it? My safety officer, I think it would be the word. So, yeah, how have you all been coping today with this sunshine? Because I cannot take it at all. It just does for me. I'm really, really struggling. I can't take the heat, the sunshine. Mate. By the time this show goes out, I will be in France and then Portugal and Spain, where Robert Van Buren has never lived. I just struggle with the heat. I can't take it. And yet the sun is so good for well-being. Obviously, we're often told about people getting too much sun, and sunburn is a bad thing. Skin cancer, very real threat. So we put our sun creams on, of course. But one of the things the sun does, it gives us increased vitamin D. And vitamin D reduces inflammation and helps with cell growth. You can get it from food, I believe, but the best source of vitamin D, 5 to 15 minutes out in the sunshine. So if you get up outside and expose yourself to direct sun on your arms and face, you're going to soak up necessary vitamins. And in England, Scotland, you're in another world. But in England, we don't get enough vitamin D. And for our cousins from other parts of the world, even more important, you get out there and get your vitamin D, guys. So if you've got any friends from the Afro-Caribbean community especially, tell them, get yourself out there, get some sunshine, because you're not getting enough vitamin D all year round to help. Sunny days improve your mood. So there is something called a sunny disposition. I'm sure we've all heard of that. I've always got a very sunny disposition. Generally speaking, it just means he's always happy. Now, my mum, bless her, would go, I don't trust a fella who's always laughing. But that was more to do with the fact that she was quite a miserable woman, rather than you have to be suspicious of people who are happy. But there was research done which found that there was more mental distress in people during seasons with little sun than with sunnier days. Days with plenty of sunshine are always associated with better mental well-being. So it's considered an accepted fact that sunshine has more impact on mood than rainfall, temperature, or any other environmental factor. If anyone's got any ideas on this or thinks it's nonsense, do let me know. Getting sun increases serotonin, helps you stave off seasonally adjusted disorder. Sun exposure can also help with anxiety and depression. So last week I was in Norway. Yeah, I'm getting about. I got a tax bill at the end of July. I've got to pay it. So last week I was in Norway, And in the very north of Norway, it can be dark for 23 hours a day in the winter, which fascinated me. And I did say to a guy, like, what is there to do here? It's a really peaceful fishing village. And he said, we like to go fishing and we like to make love. I was like, oh, fair enough. And in the winter, when it's dark all day, he said, yeah, we don't go fishing. I don't know if he was trying to be funny. It made me laugh. Anyway, so if you get in the sunshine and you get your serotonin levels up, it does more than just boost your mood. It also helps you sleep. So serotonin works with melatonin, and that's a chemical in your brain that lulls you into sleep. And the sun helps your body to produce it. So seriously, if you're suffering from insomnia, try to go for that light and dark cycles. Make sure that your bedroom's dark. Get your sunlight during the day so you can catch some sleep at night time. It's all, look at me, I'm like Dr. Johnson, aren't I? I don't know what's going on. There's all things that we can always do, always do, that will help our mood. And mood is very, very important when we talk about well-being and mental health. Steve Troop's making a very, very good point, as he always does. Top tip for mental health. I should make this more dramatic, really, shouldn't I, Steve? I should kind of, before I read it out, I should kind of try and give it a bit of a... Steve Troop's top tip for mental health. Just for today, I'm well. Sometimes when the world gets too much, we can't see beyond tomorrow. But that's okay. In my worst days, it was just for the next 30 minutes. Mate, you know what? That's Steve, in fact, I'm going to turn that music off because that's kind of not appropriate. This is more appropriate. Mate, Steve Troop said on his worst days, he couldn't see anything beyond 30 minutes. The next 30 minutes. Do you notice how I've changed the mood? I've changed the vibe. I'm actually making what Steve's saying into quite a nice little story here. Got a nice little one. Now, Steve, that's amazing, mate, because you're saying it quite real. There was a time when you couldn't see beyond 30 minutes, and now you can't see beyond tomorrow. But it's what you've got today, pal. And what you've got today is a beautiful missus, beautiful child. You got a job, you got purpose, you got direction, you got structure. You, mate, are a shining example of how you can turn things around. That doesn't mean just because you've turned it around one day, you're going to keep it turned around permanently. But you do show, mate, you've got some get up and go. Nick Jones is the same. Robert, who's never lived in Spain, I don't know what to say, mate. I'm going to strike. This is going to, because I get fixated with things, Robert, and I'm proper fixated now with where I got the idea from that you lived in Spain. Anyway, so Nick is now talking about the fact that it's just all gone wrong, isn't it? It started off as such a grown-up show. Nick Jones is saying his son once had a cage fight in Norway against a Russian opponent. Mate, that may be coming around again, so let's just leave that one just for now. I had a cage fight once. The budgie didn't stand a chance. Thank you very much. Here all week. The sun does a lot to improve. What I'm trying to say is, okay, keep getting distracted by you lot. So low vitamin D has been linked to diseases like osteoporosis and rickets. One of the most specific benefits of vitamin D is stronger bones and teeth. So it's not about calcium. Sometimes it's about that vitamin D. You need calcium, but you also need your vitamin D because the sunlight helps your body absorb the calcium. God, that was heavy, wasn't it? That was really difficult. One of the other things that sunlight does, when your sunlight hits your skin, your body releases something called nitric oxide into your blood, and this brings down blood pressure and improves heart health. So maintaining healthy blood pressure, I don't know why I can't speak English tonight. Maintaining healthy blood pressure can reduce your risks of cardiac disease and stroke. So the end of this whole point I'm trying to make about sunshine is three things, very important things. One, sunshine improves and helps our mood because of the serotonin. If you got friends from the what we call the black community, but I guess the woke people call the BAME community, or as I prefer to call the black community, tell them to get out in the sunshine because vitamin D, we're not getting enough sunlight in this country, and it affects all our moods. And people get lower vitamin D levels they're up for more problems, and it will lower your blood pressure. There you go. That was like the toughest 10 minutes of trying to explain what is going on in my world. Anyhow, so let me tell you about tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is awesome. There's no other word to describe her. And when I say her, I mean her. I'm not meaning anything other than Ava Vidal. First met Ava about 15 years ago, and thought not only was she funny, she was feisty. That's a lethal combination for me because I love people who will shake your hand and punch you in the face. That's how, to me, you know where you stand. I hate wishy-washy people who lie and backstab and just beat around the bush. I like people who get straight to it. We spent some time together in Edinburgh in 2004 or 5, 4, I think. And since then, I've worked with her a few times, but not nearly enough. Ava is one of those people who I've watched from afar develop her own niche without selling out, I don't think. There are a lot of comics who make noises and pretend that they've got political views that they don't really have, just to get attention, and they court fame and they court celebrity. But from what I can see, Ava has always avoided fame and celebrity just to walk her own path. If ever you want to have a proper conversation, this is one of the people that you have a proper conversation with. Because, like I say, they ain't no nonsense, and I don't really have time for nonsense. As you know, people who listen to me regularly, one of my protections for my mental well-being is to remove toxic people from my life. And so I don't do it, and I don't believe that Ava does it either. Anyway, so without further ado, if I can ask everyone, if you're listening to us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, the mensradiostation.com, the womensradiostation.com, or just you're on a bus overhearing someone's phone, please welcome, with a great introduction, Ava Vidal. How you doing? We did it. We got there.
Sorry, babe. So sorry, but Afro hair and all that.
Mate, wow, that's why I got rid of mine. That's why mine went. I'm going for this shorter look now.
I was getting my kid's hair done. Yeah, and it's a new hairdresser. She's the way slower than the old one. This is giving me the creeps. It must creep out your viewers. I don't need to be that close to me.
No, it's fine, mate. I can zoom in, zoom out, edit it, put you on a tropical beach.
That would be nice.
That would, yeah. Well, that's about the only way I can do it. I can't do it any other way. I can't afford to put you in there. But so, what else have you been doing today?
Oh, just running back literally with her from the hairdresser. So I'm all sweaty Betty. I'm not even got any makeup on, but I don't care about that stuff anymore. Sorry, guys, but that's just how I look.
Mate, you'll never hear me apologise of how I look, because in my head, I'm still like a really cute 8-year-old with no front teeth. While I was, because I avoid mirrors, I'm not a vampire. While I was waiting for you, I've been talking about vitamin D and sunlight and sunshine to the extent. Yeah, you caught at the end of it, yeah? So to the extent that Steve Troop now thinks I've been to university and got a medical degree in effective sunshine. Steve, it's not that at all, mate, right? It's just quite simply, I have, because I was brought up in Hackney, a lot of my friends were from, what I refer to as the black community, but you've got to call the BAME community now, right? And enough of them I saw having problems, go doctors, and in the end, a lot of the stuff that they got treated with was just vitamin D for bones, for serotonin, for melanin, for making you feel happy. Sunlight boosts your stuff, Steve. So I learned it on the street. The University of Life is where I got it from, Steve. Anyhow, yeah, so can you ask me? Do you go and get your vitamin D levels checked?
Me, I haven't, but I know like lots of black people who have to have sad lamps and stuff like that. I'm not that bad, but it is a massive improvement. And I do know, like, once you go to the Caribbean, or if you're Africa, I guess, when the sunlight hits you, your hair starts growing different, your nails, your skin starts glowing. You're like, oh, it made sense. They weren't supposed to remove us from that.
Yeah. Well, because you see, when we left, right, we gradually had thousands of years to lose our melanin, and then kind of get used to that. Obviously, we left kind of more of our own choice, really. But that's kind of, look, we get straight into it. But that's what it's all about. Well-being is all about your history, your genetics. Yeah. It's all interlocked. Your lifestyle, all interlocked, mate. So all good. Can I just ask you? I always like to ask my guests Where are you in the family? Are you the eldest, youngest, middle kids?
Well, technically third, but in the way that my family is right now, I'm the youngest because we don't acknowledge the last one.
Okay. Okay. No, listen, that's fine. That's fine.
It's true.
Before we go anywhere, afterwards, if you hang about, I will tell you, I listened to someone raving about your family, raving, and about how kind you were when they were little, and about how much you did for them in Kettering years back. So,
Really?
oh gosh, mate, your dad was a hero to these people, and they wanted me to tell you that, but I'm not gonna. I didn't get to speak to them today to check if it was all right to say it live. But yeah, I will tell you afterwards. That is a family that your dad saved, helped, and was a role model to, and you were very kind to as well. So it's nice to kind of, I hope I haven't shot down your image like as rough and tough.
Oh, not at all.
Well, actually, you're like Mother Teresa of Kettering.
What goes on in houses and outside houses is different, and it's very glad. It's interesting to hear.
Different stuff. So tell me about school. How was school for you? Did you enjoy school?
I enjoyed school because it was respite from home. I went to boarding school, so it was like away from home, chance to breathe, chance to be. I was pretty naughty at school actually. I think that's because I was like not allowed to do anything at home, anything at all. So I didn't have a lot of freedom. I didn't have a lot of good childhood memories. So at school, we kind of made them, really. So at school, you could just go out in the grounds of the school. You could run, jump, climb trees, just do whatever you wanted. Obviously, you know, the school system here is very, very uneven. It's very unfair. Yep. So we would have really good grounds and things like that. I had some really good moments at school. I've got people who I'm in touch with from school to this day. I think boarding school, you form those bonds with people anyway. In a different way. You live together, you're all away from your parents. So I have those memories from school, and also a couple of teachers like who really stood out, like my drama teacher from my prep school. We're still in touch.
That's nice, mate. That's nice. Yeah. Look, because we normally do this at the start because you was a bit kind of, we had a bit of a delay.
I was a bit black.
You said it. I'm thinking it, but I won't say it out loud because I don't want to get cancelled. But here's my thing. I need you to know. So people can comment on about 7 different sites. Okay, so I have to keep flicking across the sites back and forth just to kind of catch up. But Nick Jones just wanted you to know that they miss you being not on the comedy circuit, mate. And,
hi Nick, I miss you too. Thank you.
That's nice, isn't it? It's nice to know that you're making that difference. So when you left school, what did you want to be?
It's so funny because I wanted to be a comedian.
Oh wow.
I actually did want to be a comedian. And then I went through 1,000 other things that I wanted to be. And kind of realized the easier way to do those things was to be a comedian.
So from early on, you wanted to do comedy?
All my friends told me to do it, yeah. Yeah, because at school, I was like literally the joker. I remember once, like my friends still talk about it, when we snuck out of school, we went to a local pub. And I stood on the bar telling jokes in exchange for free alcohol from the like if you can make us laugh, then you can have the alcohol. So God, I needed no more incentive.
Happy days.
I was always a joke. Everyone told me to do it. And then as life started getting on, when I actually finally did start doing comedy, the people around me at that time were like, don't do that. You're not funny. What are you doing? Like, you're like one of the most serious people we've ever met. So it's just weird, isn't it? You go through
different... how people see you. Well, you've got a super fan here, Steve Troop. Do you need security on your next tour? He'll do it. He's just starting up a security company. So,
listen, I might well do with all that's going on in my life. I might well do it.
Security. So you've done a few other interesting jobs, didn't you? You had a few quite interesting sort of...
Not really. I went from school... had baby very young, had 2 babies quite young actually, and I went to prison service and then to comedy.
What prisons did you work in? Are you happy to tell us?
Holloway and Pentonville, yeah.
What was that like?
Very different. Men and women are very different when they are locked up. Completely different environment and stuff. The easier one was the men. Much easier.
Why were men easier?
Because with the women, you could be just talking to them normally. All of a sudden, they just punch you in the face. You're like, what's language like on this thing? You're like, what the F? What do you do that for? And it will just be like a combination of stuff. But with a guy, you're seeing that coming. He starts breathing funny. He starts going, get the F away from me. Don't do that. Don't annoy. You know what I mean? Like you can see it building and building and building. And when he goes, bam, you really shouldn't have been in his way because he told you.
Yeah, okay, I can.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, obviously, I can see that you're not advocating male violence. However, yeah, that's.
No, I'm not. I'm saying they're violent in different ways. Prisons are violent places. That's just how it is. But I think that with the women, they're under very different pressure as well. Like with a woman, often your whole life has ended. Like if you're a mum, you're not having your kids anymore. You know, you can't get your kids, so you're under different pressure. Most women's relationships break up because, geez, it's hard enough to make men faithful when you're on the outside, but when you're on the inside, like, okay, put it this way, 80% of visitors to Pentonville are women, 80% of visitors to Holloway are women. What does that tell you? Get locked up, get women on your side. They'll come and stay in your life. Men are gone.
Yep, I see that. I did a prison project for the Home Office, and I went to South Down and Downview in Surrey.
Oh, Downview! We used to send to them.
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful. I mean, I've had over the years
as well. So that shouldn't even be that bad. That's a Category C prison.
Yes, Cat C. I went. I've had friends over the years who've been in prison, so I visited most of the prisons in the southeast. And when you go visit, it's different. But when you go behind the fence, so I went on a Friday. So I was doing the project was about mental health, race, and diversity in prisons. And on the Friday, I did a workshop in the afternoon. Got there at 1:00. The girls came in, and then we were just kind of getting into it. 1:30 lockdown. And they had to go back to their cells because someone had tried to take their own life. So they locked it down. So then we kind of, on the Monday, started ringing to see when we come back in again. We went back in on the Tuesday. And they'd been locked up since Friday. And I just remember feeling despair. Just despair.
I mean, I've had friends and family. I mean, it's not unusual to be in the Caribbean community and know someone, a cousin, somebody who's been inside because of the disparity in the way the legal system works here. So I've seen it myself. It's not nice. I can't imagine what they've been like during COVID.
Oh gosh, mate. Steve Troop, who's doing your security now for your for your national tour. If I tell you Steve's backstory, he was homeless. He's tried to hurt himself a few times. He acknowledges his issues. He's married. He's got a kid. He's got his own little company. He's moved on, right? But it's interesting that he works now on the doors, and just backing up what you're saying, that he'd rather try to remove 3 men than 1 woman from a venue.
Oh, they're vicious. They're vile. They're vile. I'm sorry. No, I'm just telling the truth. And yeah, so a lot of guys who've been inside and stuff went and worked on the doors as well, or came from the doors.
So I normally tell friends, I think if you are a millionaire, right? You're a millionaire and you've got a great relationship, you've got a good life, good family, good friends, good job, you're healthy, you're happy. Put you in prison, I reckon maybe 3 days, 4 days tops before you start thinking about ending it. It's that grim. Everyone who goes to prison, they just sit around playing on their PlayStation, getting stoned all the time. That's just not. It winds me up so much when I hear people talk about
that whole attitude is disgusting. Like they had that in Wellingborough, and they were going on about it being a holiday camp, and they call people sir, and they call people this. Look, you can't have things both ways. If you want people to come out and be rehabilitated, or you want, you know what I mean, make up your mind. Is prison the punishment, or is losing your freedom the punishment? Now, this country, the law says it's the second. Yeah. Therefore, you're in prison already. You don't need anything else. And also on top of that, it's not good for prison officers either. Do you know how many prison officers take their own lives?
Yeah. Shocking.
I remember a guy doing it while I was there. I remember it, and we didn't see it coming. Really nice Irish guy. Didn't see it coming.
I describe it as unrelenting misery.
Yeah, and
that's the only way.
the wrong officer, and you're always going to get the wrong officer because there's always going to be a C on every landing who's doing unnecessary stuff just for the hell of it, just to go and turn over someone's cell, just to throw their stuff on the floor.
Power in it. They're just exercising power.
Yeah, just to take their stuff. I didn't need to do that. I've always been quite a powerful person.
Yeah. I can see that. Just for anyone who's just joining me, John Ryan here on Reading the Signs on Men's Radio Station. If you're listening to us on SoundCloud, on the podcast, or on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all them other nonsense social media things, just go old school on Deluxe Radio. I'm joined tonight by the fantastic Ava Vidal, who is I've just think you're a great comic, but also you got passion and you care about stuff. Just want to give a quick mention to the Lost Boys, who give us the theme tune music each week. They've made us a little bit of music at the start. So Ava, it's just amazing for me then how you went from like working in a prison, because I've done work in Gartree, which is I think Cat B.
That's actually A. Is
it Cat A? Oh, it's actually Cat A, murderers, isn't it? Funny, they made me do a gig in the men's health talk, right, in the chapel, and no one would sit at the front. And I said, why won't you sit at the front? And they said, because you'll take the mickey out of us. And I went, yeah, but you're murderers. And they all laughed. I thought, actually, why am I doing here? And Glen Parva, which is Young Offenders Institute, and the contrast in the two.
Now they're worse than women.
Yeah.
They are worse than women. They were like, I went to training college of people who went to Feltham and stuff like that. And we'd have different officers from different places coming in to teach us. And they said, who's going to a YOI? Everyone who put their hand up, they went, don't even iron your shirt in the morning, mate. You will be rolling on the floor, fighting a 6'5", 14-year-old. They're like big as adults and they've got the brain of a kid. You know what I mean? I think the system in this country needs a major overhaul.
Definitely.
I've been in since not long ago, post-lockdown, I've been into Brixton and done stuff myself as well. Came in to give them a sensible talk. All they wanted was jokes.
Yeah. I describe Young Offenders Institutes as basically erections with knuckles. That's it. That's all they are. That's all it is. And description. Mate, one of the guys, I always remember going to me, I could cut you up, bruv. I could cut you up. And I said, why? Because I can. I'm like, that seems like a good reason then, you know. Yeah. But look at all the other things you can do. Yeah, but I don't want to do that. I want to cut you up. I'm like, okay, well, if it gets overwhelming, let me know and I'll run out your way. Would you? Yeah, because you know you can't do nothing. I went, of course I know I can't do nothing. At what stage did it occur to you that I walked in here thinking I could take all of you? It's not happening. But that alpha maleness, it just almost seemed encouraging, and it just struck me as sad going back down the ages to where you get kids of 7 and 8 who aren't reading and writing and are having bad experiences. That's your typical kind of pattern. But I've said to my boys, look, you're white middle-class boys from a nice area. You have one drink too many, hit a cyclist, you're going to go into this jungle with these kids from a different world, and they're not going to do Queensbury rules with you. So don't break the law. You know what I mean? If you can keep out of it, keep out of it.
I think it's a good thing you mentioned, though, because it's not... I didn't realise till I joined that job, first of all, how many people are in prison and how many prisons there are. They're everywhere. I didn't realise how many. So the amount of people who think this is never going to touch me, it will never get to you, don't know.
That's right.
I was there. I'm in his book, I think. I mean, I mentioned in his book, he was called The Gentleman Thief. Peter Scott. He was the boyfriend of Princess Diana's mum. And he was, do you know what I mean? Like, and I remember we had this guy who was like a teacher from Eton, privately educated. You just don't know what is going to happen in your life. Anything could happen to you any time. So I would tell people, like, try and keep your temper. But I was never judgmental of being in there, because it just takes one moment of weakness, or, you know, a lot of people are not there for calculated stuff.
No, of course not. It's just lose your temper. But Peter Scott was king of the cat burglars.
Yes, he was great.
Yeah. Well, hang on, we should be admiring him. He died, didn't he? He's been dead 10 years now, I think. But it's just that those characters that you meet in there. So you go from that to kind of having a captive audience to doing comedy. How did that work out? It was really, wasn't it?
I used to just like have material about it. It's not dissimilar. So you got to remember, when I went into that job, I was 20 years old.
Wow.
Going into that job, I think when I went into Pentonville, the next female officer up from me was in her 30s and stuff. And so she was like, she just was different. I was the youngest by far. I was the youngest black woman. By the time I left, there was a lot more, but there was just wasn't. So obviously attracted a lot of attention. It was constantly being shouted at you. It was an Irish comedian who said to me, like, he grabbed me one day. He was like, you got to answer. I said, answer what? He goes, answer them. And I said, say what? He goes, it doesn't matter what you say. He goes, you're going to get better at it and better at it and better at it. But in that moment, you have to answer. Otherwise, they're going to take this out of you forever. And that's what I did. So then when I started getting heckled, I was like, oh, please. I've been heckled by people with time on their hands. Like, you're nothing. You're just rubbish.
How did you find the circuit when you first started?
I think I foolishly thought it was nicer than it was. For sure. I thought it was nicer than it was. I didn't expect to find so many troubled people on it.
It's very similar to, that's what I'm saying, it's very similar to prison in that way, that you got people who can't do anything else, trapped in this cycle of endless repetition, where they don't understand where they're going wrong, why they're mucking up.
It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, for sure.
And then you Hackney, was it about 2004 when you done Hackney Empire New Acts of the Year?
Yeah, that's the year I did the Hackney Empire. Yeah, I did the BBC, the final new comedian of the year before. Yeah,
and then Hackney Empire. Did that help?
Yeah.
Who won it? Who won Hackney when you did it?
Who won Hackney that year?
You see, that's my point. When I did it, the lad who won it, it was who?
I don't think that person's still around.
I done it. The guy who won it, he ripped it, mate. He got a standing over. He smashed it. Paul Hickman.
On your year?
Yeah, Paul Hickman. And the runners-up were Shapik or Sandy and Mark Felgate. And special mention to Russell Brand.
I did it, and I came in joint third with somebody. I think Kerry Godliman came second, and there was a special mention for Roisin Connaughty.
Okay.
I can't remember who won it. But the ones that went to Edinburgh were me, Roisin, and Kerry.
Well, that's right, because I was going to move on to that dream team of the three of you went off to Edinburgh together, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I remember flyering for you guys, and you lot going, you ain't got to do that. I went, yes, I do. This is a great show. And I was flying outside, and Roisin was going, can you get some fit men to come? I will give it a try. How did Edinburgh help you then as a performer?
I mean, I got spotted for stuff. I think I got spotted for Kings of Comedy later that year.
Which was that was the TV thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was silly. Yeah, it was just stupid. That BBC, it was sort of like supposed to be Big Brother for comedians. It was made by Endemol, same people. Didn't work. Can't take from comedians. And then you just see how boring we are. Janie Godley was on it.
Wow. Sorry, Peter Alterman. Peter Atterman won the year you did it.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what happened to him.
Yeah. No, I can't see any of them. Kerry, you. No,
I can't even remember who came third with me. I can't remember.
No, I can't see it. Doesn't say. Interesting though. It's very interesting because you wonder like how people see it. They think it's going to do a lot more for them than it actually does.
People do. I mean,
I did it in 2000.
Russell, what's his name?
Russell Brand.
No, blonde one.
Russell Brand, Russell Hicks.
The other one on TV.
Russell Kane.
That's no. Howard.
Howard. Oh, Russell Howard. Yeah.
I remember him sitting me down at a gig once saying, look, I was saying, I'd like to do that Empire BBC. He goes, it's just another gig, mate. Treat it as a gig. It's nothing more than a gig. That's it. Sometimes, if you're lucky, the right people see you or whatever. But then yeah, it's not anything to really,
No, it's not. It's not career defining. How did you cope then if you did a gig and it went really well? Did it make you feel good?
Would it make me feel good?
Did it always make you feel good when you have a great gig? People love it. They laugh. They listen.
Yeah, it made me feel good. Yeah, I wouldn't say in the beginning of the career, no, because I don't know if you had this. I couldn't sleep after comedy gigs. I couldn't sleep, so it was just like a very repetitive thing going round and round in my head, and would have to just burn off energy after a gig. So I couldn't. I think later on, when I really was doing my own stuff, doing my own touring, doing my own one-woman shows, then that made me feel good because I had something to say in those shows.
Yeah, that's fair. What about when the gigs went bad? How did you cope with that?
I just was determined not to let it happen again. I remember once being with your friend Rudy.
Okay.
In Exeter, doing 3 Fat Fish, going down there by coach. Still had a day job at the time. Died on my ass. Rudy was staying down there in a B&B. He sit in the corner of his room. He just went to sleep because I tried to get on. I didn't think there was going to be a problem. So I think I tried to book the 1 a.m. coach out of there. It was full. I was like, "What? Who's doing that? Who's doing that at 1 a.m. on a Sunday from Exeter to London?" So I was like, I'm stuck till 4 a.m. with nothing to do, nowhere to go. So Rudy let me sit in the corner of his room while he slept. And then at like 4 a.m. I got to go. And I was like, I had to go straight to work. Traffic was awful. I think we hit back London about 9 a.m. I was late for work. I think I was like, I can't afford to have too many of those. That's too much time, too much effort to go and do a gig. And I have to fix it fast. And it's kind of like now when I gig, it's much easier now. I don't gig much. But when I do, I pretty much can get it right. I know the timing of a joke. I know the pace of a joke. I know what to say. I know how to. There's pretty much nothing I haven't seen. There's nothing I haven't been called. So
you got tools. You got a toolkit, haven't you? And you dip into that toolkit, and then so when it gets wrong, then like downtime when you're off stage, how do you cope? Do you need that buzz of an audience all the time? Do you need that adulation?
No, not anymore. Not at all. Not anymore. Downtime then and downtime now is very different. Downtime now is Netflix, it's quiet, it's home, it's keeping myself to myself. A lot of that. Before that, it would have been drinking out, maybe out with friends, out meals, doing stuff with the kids, whatever, like taking them out for the day, whatever. But now it's not that.
Do you think that stand-up allowed you to find a voice or find a place that made you comfortable?
No, because it was never what it was meant to be. So no.
What was it meant to be?
I think I thought it was like a thing you do and it's on merit, and I thought people in the industry would be decent people because I thought it takes some guts to do stand-up. So therefore, you would be a courageous person. I didn't know how many cowards, how many racists, how many misogynists, how many fucking how many sickos, how many weirdos were on that circuit. I didn't know that.
I think my biggest surprise when I started, I didn't realise how many of them weren't funny. And when I say weren't funny, I don't mean just on stage. I mean off stage, that they just were not funny. They didn't have a sense of humour. And I can remember doing car journeys thinking, I've got another hour and a half to sit through this me, whiny, which is part of the reason why I started going off and doing my own thing. Because like even now when I do a gig, if someone rings up and goes, can I get a lift? I've got to really stop and think, oh, mate, am I going to be able to put up with you for 2.5 hours?
Did you ever find the thing that when you came into comedy, the people you thought were comedy geniuses, and as you learned more about comedy, you're like, I ain't going to name any names, but my goodness, some people who I thought, you are like a genius, a total genius. There was one guy in that Edinburgh, I think it was the year before, who I just thought was a genius. I thought he was like one of the best comedians I've ever seen in my life. And I was flying. I believed in the show. I believed in it. I wanted to be him. I wanted to you know what I mean? And then a couple of years, and I was like, that guy wasn't successful at all. And he told people I was flying because I was trying to sleep with him. I was like, oh, great. Well, that was nice. Do you know what I mean? I was like,
yeah.
You're not funny at all. Your jokes are terrible.
I went to see Brendan Burns' show when he won that Perrier. And I remember thinking, yes, it's a really good show. But then someone went, it's the same tomorrow night. This whole spontaneous bit in the middle it's every night it's the same.
Sajila, the one who's on GB News now.
Yeah, with Sajila. And I did at the time then message her going, why are you doing this? He's not really elevating you, is he? But I guess she's a good person. She got a kind heart. I guess her thing was maybe this is going to help my career. But I think, especially for women on the circuit, there's some sharks out there, mate. And it's how you then kind of see through that, see round that, see past that. And it's all the way to the top. And in 2022, we've had Me Too and we've had the BLM, and nothing seems to me like it's changed at all. So it's how then you stay motivated and inspired to keep going.
Since my daughter turned up dead, I don't have a lot of patience for the circuit. I don't have a lot of respect for it. I don't have a lot of admiration for it. This is a kid who was around a lot of these people from growing up. You know what I'm saying? Another comedian comes along who has done shows about being a sex addict, who has done shows about seeing prostitutes, knows it was not a secret that I wanted my child away from this guy. She turns up, involved in prostitution within a year, dead within 5, and people still questioning it. So I don't have any time for them. No, I don't.
Yeah, it's difficult. And there's nothing, and obviously, we could talk about your situation like all evening and never resolve it, understand it, or see how people.
You never will, and I'll tell you why you never will. My friend, who used to be a manager of one very well-known comedian, said to me, when we were trying to work it all out and work out what the hell was going on and how the fuck is this allowed and what the hell, he said to me, I'm going to take you down to A&E because I need you to do something. I said, what do you need me to do? He said, I need you to go into A&E and I'm going to point at some people and I want you to tell me exactly what's wrong with them. What are you on about? How come I meant to do that? I'm not a doctor. He went, exactly. So how are you going to figure that out?
Yeah.
How are you going to figure out this person's brain and this person's behavior and this person's You're not a doctor. So you're never going to know. And
I do see that. But it goes back to what we were saying almost at the start, that one of the things that I was fascinated by, because I worked in community care before I started doing comedy, worked in a housing department. So I was used to going to clients' houses who were mentally frail and vulnerable. And then, because I grew up around drug addicts, I could see people who prey on the weak and the vulnerable. And the other place I ever saw all this was on the comedy circuit.
Oh, yeah.
The weak and the vulnerable being preyed on. And it's not just by sexual predators, it's also by manipulators, agents, other acts, bookers, promoters. And it's almost like, I don't know if you ever saw The Time Machine, H.G. Wells. He talks in the future, this guy lands in the future where all these people are beautiful and happy, and every now and again a siren goes off and they all go underground. And they go underground. When they're under there, they get eaten by the Morlocks, and then the fit ones come out. And that to me was Edinburgh. It's a siren goes off every year in March, and all these weak. I used to help people write Edinburgh shows, and then one year I realised I'm just taking money off people because you ain't going nowhere. And I would say to them, save your money, go on holiday. Edinburgh is not for you. This whole industry
have this whole, and even like certain situations, somebody is wrecked by certain management, nobody will say anything because they do live at the Apollo or they do this or they do that, and they don't want to say anything, and it's just like complete fear. People don't want to speak up or say a word. People are more concerned with their own career and stuff that but look, the way I see it is I can do other things as well. I do diversity training. I can write. I've done journalism. I can be put with whatever politician you want to put me with, and I can argue with you. I can debate you. I can do these things. So at the end of the day, this thing they've got of holding on to the circuit and who's going to do well, who's not going to do well, keep it, mate. When you've got other skills, you don't really have to care in that kind of way. So I think that takes some pressure off. But yeah, I mean, there was an agent that was making people drive up and down the countryside, as an open spine. Oh, if you keep doing that, if you keep driving the headliner, and if you keep doing this, you're going to get you're going to get a paid gig, and your paid gig comes in 15 quid. Great. Sorry, that's motorcycle outside. I haven't got time for it, and I think a lot.
No, that's true. I normally ask guests for a tip on a coping strategy for for life. But you've
Find
mentioned so many
joy.
already.
Find joy.
Find your
deliberately find joy. Since my
Find
daughter's
joy.
death, and since that person carries on with his bullshit all the time, I find joy. You're not taking my joy out of my life. I will deliberately have fun. I will deliberately, like at the moment, I will deliberately go out into the sunshine when I can. When there's no sunshine, I will write something. I will take a day off in the week, or someone might ask me to do something. I go, you know what? I don't have the emotional bandwidth to do that today, so I'm not going to do it. Like I said to you, I couldn't do it yesterday. I couldn't do it because I take, at this point, over the weekend, I speak mainly to my daughter. I speak to my sister every day as well. But I'm not used to speaking to people. I need another day to climatize. So I read stuff that I like. I watch stuff that I like. I'm like you in terms of toxic people out. I'm not going to say I don't get it right every time. I'm very empathetic. So when you're an empath, like those wrong people will be attracted to you. I'm getting much faster at spotting it, and I'm getting very quick at bouncing them out. But my circle is very small, and my actual circle is very tight, and that is, oh God, that sounds so gross, but that is very important. It's very, very important to surround yourself with the right people. And my friend, one guy told me once, you are the 5 people you hang around with the most.
That's one of my favorite sayings.
Yeah, you are. And I could see different times in my life who I was with, who I wasn't with. The people I'm around at the moment are spot on, decent, proper, just decent people, really decent people.
Good to hear.
And I think it's, I mean, I will still find myself almost doing stupid things. Like the other day, there's somebody who I fell out with after my daughter died. And since we fell out, her husband has died. And I found loads of photos on my phone of her husband with my daughter And I thought, I don't want to delete that. That's somebody who's gone and that can never be replaced and stuff. And I went online because I've got like a couple of people online who advised me and stuff. And I just went, what should I do? Shall I send her these photos? Everyone went, girl, delete the photos and move on. What are you thinking of? And they were right. Because that is the problem that I always find myself in, letting the wrong people back in, allowing, and that for me, that saying, no, actually, I'm not going to tolerate this. I don't want you around me. And that brings on its own problem.
Yeah. Well, I did, I do often say to people, it's so if you get what you're willing to accept. You get what you're willing to accept. Sometimes people don't realize that until they're very old, but generally speaking, if you can learn that lesson early enough, it's very helpful. What you got coming up then? Any projects, any plans? You got a book, you got a play, you got a...
No, I mean, I'm writing a show about my daughter, but unfortunately, we're going to have to go. We've got more court proceedings going on at the moment, so I'm not going to do that. I would hope to do Edinburgh 2023 with the show that I'm doing. The story isn't even finished yet, but I want to do my own thing. I'm never going to be a regular back in the comedy clubs. That's not going to happen. It's not economically viable with the
It's moved on anyhow, mate. It's all moved on.
It's not for me. So I can do that. I wouldn't mind writing a drama of some of the things that I've got going on at the moment. It's a court case that I have going on. So there'd definitely be a good drama. There's a couple of things that I want to write. It's about not allowing this certain person to keep wasting my time in the way that it's being done at the moment. So I will give that a bit of energy. So I'll say, okay, I will work on my legal papers for maybe 2 hours today, and that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to do that. I'm not entertaining this crap anymore. And I will make sure I get on with my own life. So the next kind of step I've got to do is to make time for writing. That's what I'm not doing a lot of, because I really love The Real Housewives.
Mate, don't even start me on that. I'll run from that. Ava, you know what, mate? You've been here for 45 minutes, and it's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
Thank you.
It's just zoomed past. I'm going to let Steve Troop have the last words for you. It'll be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end.
There you go. Beautiful words.
Deep man being there. Look, speak soon. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for my blackness, stroke greatness.
You know what, mate? So I'm not getting cancelled. I ain't saying nothing. My time of life, I ain't going to get another job unless it's B&Q pushing trolleys. Speak soon. Take care. That was the fantastic Ava Vidal, who just an incredible story. Just could have spoken to her for hours. just about the prison bit or what she's going through at the moment is awful. A great comic who could have sold out and been all over the television, but didn't, because she got principles, and she's, like I say, not someone who will pretend, lie, or cheat to get forward. Just very straight. And part of the problem that we have as people is that we're always trying to please others. As you know, I'm always looking for tips on well-being and ideas, things that people have that works for them. Each week, people give us top tips for well-being, and I think Ava's was superb. Just the whole idea that find joy where you can. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I think, I'm not going to upset anyone today. Then I go to bed at night and ask myself, did I intentionally upset anyone today? Throughout the day, I laugh a lot. People sound frivolous or careless or carefree, whatever. I just would rather have silence than drama. And sometimes it's easier if you can detach yourself from bad situations. Ignacio last week felt that stubbornness can help you through tough times, which kind of works. Interestingly enough, conversely, Brian and Crystal were talking about how being there for other people can make a difference, which is very strange. Jonathan, very, very deep. Can't change people. You can only change how you let them affect you. I think last word on this particular bit, I just loved Ninya Benjamin. She's like, sometimes you're going to be down and you've got to accept it. You just got to accept it. Kev Precious said, watch your own processes and learn what your triggers are. My own top tips that works for me. I've never had a mental health problem yet. I don't know what the future's got in store for me. And let's be honest, I'm not a clinician. I'm not a practitioner. But if you can reframe unhelpful thoughts, be in the present and get a good night's sleep, that's always going to help. We know that having a good night's sleep, you can go out in sunlight, get your vitamin D levels up. Connect with others. Try and talk to someone every day. Removing those negative, toxic people from your life. Oh. Don't procrastinate. Washing one cup is better than not washing loads of cups. Washing your hands and face if you can't shower. Take those little steps. Do those little things that can help you, because you never know. It may be that'll be the start to your journey of recovery, or helping you to avoid getting into situations that can be difficult. Sometimes, things can get really difficult and people do need proper help. And that's where people like Time to Change, who want to end mental health discrimination, come in and mind the mental health charity. No one has to face a mental health problem alone. And the thing is, it could be you next, it could be me next. We don't know what the future's got in store for us. We're all one bad incident away from losing the plot, to be honest with you. And it's the same with prison. You're all one drink away from hitting someone when you're driving and ending up in prison. If you know someone and they look like they're struggling, just help. Don't make it worse. If someone smells, don't be digging them out for stinking. Asking them why they're not washing or do they need help with washing can be helpful, because personal care is one of the first things that goes when people have trouble. So just be the difference. Be the difference. Don't be part of the problem. I'm going to sound all American. Hey, be part of the solution. You know what? You can make life a lot worse for people. And if they're already suffering, why do you want to be part of that? I would ask you to check out the Twerkinggirl on Twitter, because Ava's a very active social media activist. And it's not just frivolous. Oh, just saw Love Island. He's really fit. She posts stuff that have meaning and that can be quite informative as well. So do go along and look at that. Don't forget to look at my social media things, because obviously, I want to be favorite. Comedy John Ryan on Twitter and Comedy John Ryan on Insta, so you can see what I had for my dinner or for my breakfast. We are here every Monday, just talking, 7 o'clock. Come along. If you want to come along, have a listen. If you don't. No harm done. No one's going to get hurt. Nothing catches fire. We'll be back next week. You take care. Stay safe.
Well, that's the end of another great show. What a brilliant guest that was. I could have spoken to them for hours. Don't forget to check out all the other brilliant shows on the mensradiostation.com website, as well as womensradiostation.com as well. Do subscribe to all of our media outlets, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all those things, but tell your friends. Big thank you to Lost Boys UK, who have provided this fantastic music for the show. Check out my website, happytohealthy.com. We'll be back next week. Really do take care of yourself, and remember, You're not on your own. You're part of the mensradiostation.com family. Take care. Good night.